Hey guys, Darvin here, welcome back to my channel. Today we're back on playing Lake of Voices. I think this will be part 4. Don't know if it's going to be the end or not, but we'll see. We're going to play for another 35 minutes. Let's get right into it. Bamel arrives at almost the same time and greets us. I heard you two coming and thought it best if I came to join you. Lou and I greet him in kind, though Lou still seems more reserved. The three of us quietly wait for the guide's arrival, occasionally chatting with one another as we rest. The sky turns orange as sunset comes upon us. As the color seems to drain from the world, being consumed by the fog, the guide makes his appearance. Lou avoids eye contact with him. It's almost time. I nod and feel myself grow tense. We truly are about to return to those bridges. All of us wait in an uncomfortable silence until night falls. We silently stand, forming a vigil of sorts. Our remaining lanterns illuminate the dark, prepared for tonight's journey. And yet the way forward does not appear. The bridges haven't risen from the depths. I glance to my side. The guide doesn't look at all pleased. The corners of his mouth have a harsh bent as he briefly loses himself to heavy thoughts. We must go to the shore. He doesn't offer an explanation for why. Instead, he goes on without us. I follow after the guide, my forehead creasing with swelling worry. Behind me, I hear Bamel's and Lou's unsure footsteps. The four of us press on to the shore. The dark waters lap at the edges of the sand, and as expected, the maze is still hidden beneath the surface. The guide grips his staff tighter still, his knuckles turning ghostly white. He sucks in a breath of air like he is about to speak, but he hesitates. We all stare at him expectantly. Uh-oh. After a moment more, the guide is fed up with waiting. The bridges are late. If they don't arrive as soon as darkness falls, there's no telling exactly how long it will be before they do. Bamel's face immediately sours, and he isn't able to stay silent about his feelings. So we're going to waste our time standing idly by. There is hardly enough time to make the trip as it is. Lou doesn't say anything, opting to stare at the ground with an obscured expression. Time is by far the least of our worries. On the bridges, we are constantly moving, which makes it easier to avoid the prowlers. However, this island does not offer that luxury. We're trapped here. My body goes rigid as his words sink in. Also, guys, sorry if I cough. I'm a little bit sick right now. More importantly, the bridges are raised above the waters. Nixie have difficulties pulling themselves up onto the bridges. The soft slopping of the shore will allow far more prowlers to drag themselves towards us. Not all will be as dangerous as the ones we've encountered thus far, however, we could easily be overwhelmed. A pit forms deep in my stomach. I stare at him aghast. I had no idea the situation was that dire. I glance from the waterline to the trees. What I'm looking for, I don't know. A sign of what might be to come, perhaps. I wonder if those fires had anything to do with this. Bamel's words are biting as he wonders aloud. The guide answers Bamel firmly, wanting to put an end to his speculation. No, whatever magic controlling the bridges is inconsistent. Humans haven't found a way to impact it. We can only do temporary physical damage to the boards. Bamel is still displeased. Should we return to our original spot, we would have more protection there. The guide closes his eyes and suddenly looks very worn down. Staying in the center of the island is the safest option. However, there's the risk that we may not be able to reach the bridges when they do rise. Prowlers could have taken full control of the shore by then. Remaining here with our lanterns will ensure that the prowlers cannot move freely. My brows involuntarily knit together. I don't like the sound of taking additional risks in an area that is already so dangerous, but our options are thin. I will not be kept on this island for another day, so the shore is where I will be. You may wait at the edge of the forest, or even at the center of the island if you fear being attacked. If the prowlers come between us, and you fail to make it to the bridges, I will leave you behind. Bamel spits hatefully under his breath. Of course you would. True, generosity is not something I would expect from the guide, but that is not the conversation we need to have at this moment. The guide has made his decision, and we must make ours. If you are staying by the shore, perhaps I could be positioned somewhat farther back from you, and then the others could stay further back still. That would keep us safer without having any major gaps of darkness between us and the shore. You could start a fire, seeing as neither of you have a lantern. Good suggestion, Kika. Fine. Settled on the matter, the three of us begin to move away from the guide. Oh, I forgot to read that. Crap. I take my place in the middle of the shore, while Bamel and Lou hover closer to the island's core on the line between dirt and sand. After getting a sense of where they are, I turn my gaze ahead. Okay. I'ma save. Okay. At first, I think I'm being fooled by the fog. There are several white dots playing along the edges of the water. Dark globes begin to surface, and I see them for what they are, eyes. So many white, dribbling eyes, gleaming sharply against their pitch-black bodies as the Nixie bob up and down. They surface and disappear in a loop. Each time, more sets of eyes and closer, surveying us more intently. Then they cackle. The sound is atrocious, gurgling then, turning high-pitched as they seem to take full stock of us. The lights in their eyes somehow seem brighter as the first of the Nixie dig their claws into the sand and begin dragging themselves upon the shore. I plant my feet firmer. With the threat rising, I decide to take one last moment to check on the others. Bamel is tending to a small flame. However, I don't see Lou with him. Immediately alarmed, I raise my voice to call for him. Lou? I'm okay. A bit of rustling comes from above. I'm at a loss over what's happening before I realize that Lou is speaking from up a tree. Before I can ask what he is doing, Lou continues. I figure there's not much of a chance any Nixie will get a hold of me here. They won't climb. His voice is light-hearted with an easy confidence. With a slight shake of his head, Bamel chuckles at Lou. Let's see if you'll get down from there as smoothly as you climbed up. Don't worry about me. He still sounds fully self-assured. I smile to myself. I'd like to believe that Lou will truly be safe from those predatory creatures this way. With the two of them doing as well as they can be, I cautiously back up to my original position. I return my full focus to the shore. As we feared, this is becoming a pressing situation. More prowlers rose from the waters while my attention was on those two. They've surrounded the guide on both sides. The only way to gain distance from them would be to delve further into the island, yet the guide shows no signs of giving up his position. He remains where he is, resolving to keep all the monsters near him in his sight. I grow more unnerved the longer I watch this. The guide seemed impervious to the dangers of Sinlos. This is the first case where I can't tell whether he will continue to be fine as always or not. It's a distressing notion. As they creep ever closer, I can't stay silent any longer. Your safety is most important. Consider retreating. He doesn't face me but replies, I cannot do that. Nixie recognize signs of weakness. Backing away will only increase the odds of them attacking. Ugh! I grip my lantern tighter as I swallow hard. What can I do? As if to answer my own question, a thought whispers into my mind, and I look down at the lantern in my hand. I could throw it. I know, but he's gonna get attacked. As long as I don't let it go too far down the shore, it doesn't seem plausible that a Nyx could take it. I'm not gonna throw it. But if I do lose the lantern, then I'm gonna watch. Yes, hopefully he doesn't die. I can't act rashly here. The guide has managed through every situation we've been through, as well as countless others we did not bear witness to. I resolve to continue with what we've planned and keep my position. Without flinching, the guide keeps hold of our position on the waterline. I periodically switch between watching him, the others, and the rest of the shore. Good. Wait, as I scan the forest, there's a stinging groan. Was that the guide? It can't be. No. I stand rigid in shock, a painful prickling sensation going down my back before whipping around to face the truth. He's crouched low on the ground, staring forcefully at a group of Nixie head-on. There was a whole other group of monsters rapidly crawling back into the water. Hey! I step forward with a shout, but he puts out one hand to halt me. I did not go further. I and those creatures motionlessly watch for what he will do. His fingers curl tightly around the upper half of his staff. With great effort, he begins to rise to his unstable feet. The moment he is fully upright, the guide aggressively swings his lantern at the encroaching Nixie. He catches them completely off guard, and they scatter to rejoin the rest in the black depths. The guide crumples back into the sand unceremoniously. I can hear his ragged breath as he regains his composure. He tugs at one side of his cloak, bringing it closer around himself. It covers up a dark growing stain creeping through his right pant leg. Even while collapsed, he seems compelled to hide his fragility. Is that admirable or saddening? I do not know anymore. I like the guide. He may be a little unsympathetic, but I like him. The guide roughly pulls himself back onto his feet and forces himself to remain standing. The rest of us must remain strong as well as if we are to survive this night. Gripping my lantern, I watch over everything and everyone in sight vigilantly. After an untold period of time, the water begins to stir. There's an unusual gurgling, a sound I never thought I would be this relieved to hear. Slowly, creakily, the bridges make their nightly appearance. Okay, I think I made the right choice by not throwing the lantern, because I think he would have died, but this way he's only a little bit injured, so I think I made a good choice. Sinlos is an overwhelmingly cruel environment. This island has felt like a safe haven such a short time ago, but that has been twisted to the point where I am grateful for a chance to return to the maze, and we may not even reach that. More Nixie are breaching the water and wrenching themselves onto the sand. The guide signals to all of us. We have to leave. Thanks to his position on the shore, the guide is able to board the bridges without confrontation. For the rest of us, however, the Nixie begin to crowd the opening. It appears they want to get on themselves. We have desperately little time before we'll be cut off from the guide. I look to my lantern. Will this light alone be enough to cause them to disperse? Bamel appears at my side, dragging Lou's arm in one hand and his sword in his other. Lou yanks himself free of Bamel's grasp and doesn't seem very happy at the treatment. Being taken into the water is the biggest threat with these creatures. While we're on the shore, we can keep enough distance to avoid it. I can help push them back. I appreciate his confidence, but I'm still not certain that his help will be worth the risk. 2 is more intimidating than just 1. And there are many prowlers lurking. However, physical wounds don't hurt them in the same way they do people. I could still use my lantern alone. That has been the one weapon we've wielded against them thus far. My mind goes over every point I can think of on a loop, but there isn't that kind of time to spare. I have to give an answer. Light is the safest option, because the sword won't do anything. So, Bamel frowns hard at me. He looks at me, seeming like he desperately wants to disagree. Lou appears doubtful. I shake my head at them. There's too much risk for you to come with me. I'm going now. I turn on my heels towards the Nixie. There's even more of them now. They drag themselves pitifully along the ground, reaching out their hands in our direction like beggars. Unfortunately, nothing can be done to help these creatures. As I approach, they curl their bodies from the light of my lantern. None of them move to retreat, however. Eyeing them warily, I quickly jump forwards in the hope of startling them. A few hiss and flail, pulling themselves into the water. One responds a different way. It returns the aggression by lashing out and knocks my light free. No! The lantern falls to the ground and blinks out. I gasp. Before I can turn around, one of them pounces on my back, forcing me to the sand as well. Is this where I die? Is this the end? I frantically call out to the others. I'm gonna load here. No, save. Oh my god, I almost ruined everything. Save here. Run, get to the bridges. No! Many more pile on. I dig my fingers in the loose granules. It's put up to no resistance as they begin to drag me closer to the shore. There is no shouting, but I'm not able to make out what the words are. As I feel the thick water begin to lap against my legs, I know in my soul that I will never escape. This is the end. No! That was where I died. No! You know what? I'm gonna see if I can get a different ending or go farther into this game. So I'm gonna load here. And we are going to skip. Watch. Let's fight. If you're going to fight, then I am as well. I will attach the lantern to my belt for now. Bamel grins and grips his sword firmly. I'm ready for it. Lou, stay behind. This needs to be done by us alone. He doesn't verbally reply. However, the severity of our situation isn't lost on him. He falls back and waits for our signal. I latch the lantern to my leather belt and unsheathe my sword. We approach the battle as the two of us have done in the past. The skin of the monsters folds against their bones as they shrink back from my light. Bamel takes a wide swing at one nearby, which forces it back even further. I follow in suit, striking at the beast near to me. Each arc I think this is the option where I survive. Yeah. Well, then I'm gonna continue, because I am not happy with how I died. Each arc of our swords opens the way a little more. I listen closely and feel confident that Lou hasn't drifted. I pray my instincts are right. It's far too dangerous to look away, even momentarily, with the Nixie so close. Our efforts bear fruit as a path of the bridges clears in front of my eyes. We waste not one moment sprinting towards the bridges. With the others near my side, I amble back into the maze. We don't stop until there is a considerable distance between us and the shore. It is there that we encounter the guide. Upon seeing his figure, I hide a sigh of relief. We haven't been left behind. Our arrival doesn't change the guide's empty expression. He doesn't say or do anything, instead allowing us all of us to catch our breath. Bamel starts to laugh incredulously through uneven breaths. Such recklessness, I can hardly believe it worked. Lou looks as though his legs might fall out from underneath him. Normally I wouldn't ever say anyone on these bridges are lucky, but we are. We treasure the moment of triumph for a little more before the guide ends his silence. We need to start walking. We've already lost much time as it is. Sorry. Almost as soon as he finishes his statement, he stumbles, nearly falling back down. His hands slip down the shaft of his... Is there a cat in my room? No? Okay. He stumbles, nearly falling back down. His hands slip down the shaft of his staff as he sinks to the ground. He gasps under his breath. Are you all right? Is there anything we can do? I don't have much, but I could still clean and wrap it. I take a few hurried steps closer. I reach my hands out towards him when he curls away from like a barn cat. He turns his gaze up to me and shakes his head. I tended to it myself when you were still on the shore. Moments tick by as I stare at him, growing ever more nervous. As horrible as his injury is, the larger situation at play is dire for all. It is a weight bearing down on each of us, threatening to bring the entire group to its knees rather than only our lead. We can't stay here. Are you able to walk? He eyes his feet with gritted teeth and clenches his staff tighter. Not like this. A beat of quiet passes before he continues, his voice slightly ragged. I have a way. It will be enough to get to the other side. Shaking, he removes a hand from his staff and reaches into his cloak, searching for something. I have little other choice but to watch as he searches his pockets. The panic that we thought was past starts creeping back in. He retrieves a small vial with a vicious liquid inside, swishing it slightly as he holds it up. I peer at it curiously. Drinking this will numb the pain. I'll be able to ignore that my leg is injured for the time being. I analyze the vial hesitantly. I'm pensive as I mull over the possible other effects it could have. Something that potent would be a miracle drug if there were no downsides along with the positives. Is that safe? It must cause drowsiness or have some kind of impact on you, not to mention pushing your leg so hard when it's in the state could permanently ruin it. He regards me as his lip twists part away into a snarl. My leg isn't broken. It will heal without issue once I'm able to treat it. In order for that to happen, however, I need to live. I flinch slightly. He wouldn't usually snap at such a question. The pain must be truly getting to him. I'm gonna save. What about side effects? You didn't say what they were. Bamel steps in closer to the guide, his question harsh enough to be a demand. Bamel's trust in the guide has steadily declined since the first night. With the way he's acting, I cannot ignore the sense that it may come to a head before the journey is over. The guide levels a deeply unimpressed look at Bamel. He then sighs, raising the bottle up so that it's more visible. He swishes it almost impatiently. It can slow reflexes and cloud the mind. Immediately, Bamel's eyes widen incredulously. Lou gazes on with an empty expression on his face. The guide heaves another sigh, though the pain in it makes it sound more akin to a groan. He is still impatient with the group's delays as the time marches on. I will only be taking half a dose. It won't ease all of the pain, however it will reduce the odds that I will be notably impacted by any adverse effects. I know how you feel about others coming close to you, but is that truly the best solution to a situation like this? You need to be clear-headed here. Bamel takes another heavy step forward. He meets the guide's eyes stonily. No, you can't drink something like that. I'll carry you. That'd be funny. Bamel presses forward, encroaching on the guide's personal space. The guide visibly shrinks back again. However, he can't hobble much farther away due to his injured leg. That won't... Okay, before the guide can put forth another word, Bamel brazenly snatches the bottle straight from his hand. Everyone is stunned to silence by Bamel's action. Even the guide has trouble expressing any sort of emotion beyond furious disbelief. Bamel ignores all of our reactions and smiles triumphantly, holding the bottle like a trophy. You have made it very clear that at the first inconvenience you would leave us all for dead in the water. As you are now, that is impossible. The guide narrows his eyes at Bamel, who only gives him a taunting grin. So, this isn't about any possible adverse effects. You want to leave me injured and immobile on purpose. What? No, we're not doing that. Bamel shrugs and returns to smirking almost cockily. If there were no side effects, I likely would have thought nothing of it. However, mentioning those risks triggered something in my mind. You've never done what's best for the group. You only choose the safe option for yourself. With that in mind, I can't exactly trust you when you tell us that the medicine is truly our one option. Now, even if carrying you means that you will be more at risk than otherwise, I'm willing to make that sacrifice. Bamel chuckles derisively and rolls his eyes while spinning the medicine vial between his fingers. I hope you're proud that I'm following your advised method of not considering others, guide. Ooh, that's a little bit of a burn, though. Despite Bamel's sarcastic jab, the guide returns to his usual empty, deadpan expression and makes no attempt at rebuttal. There, he accepts it. What of you? Bamel, okay, I don't know if... If Bamel carries him, Bamel is probably going to leave the guide behind to save himself, because I feel like the guide and him are, like, very similar, except they just don't want to say it. Except, Bamel is just, like, more talkative and bubbly and crap. I don't like that Bamel's main reason for this is probably revenge. I don't like that. I think he might pull something fishy out. But I'm going to choose that Bamel carries him mainly because if the guide has a cloudy mind, even though he's taking half of a dose, if he has a cloudy mind, then he's not going to be thinking clearly. He's not going to, like, none of us. Like, that's, like, one of the things he needs, a clear mind, so that he knows the way. He might get confused, he might get, like, I think Bamel needs to carry him. Lou has looked away from the situation. I notice, however, that he's trying to hide a smirk on his lips. Bamel seems rather pleased by the reactions thus far, grinning widely at us. If anyone is worried about my ability to carry the guide for the rest of the night, you shouldn't be. Rest assured, a willowy man like that guide won't slow me down whatsoever. He puffs his chest out proudly. Lou places his face into his hands, refusing to look Bamel's way. Through his fingers, a glimpse of a grin still remains. Bamel faces me expectantly. The guide also levels a steely gaze in my direction. We may be having a bit of fun getting the upper hand on the guide for a change, but if we don't go back now, we never will. What is this doing? Though, do we truly need to? All that matters is reaching the shore safely. What really is the best in the situation? I'm sorry, guide. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, God. Bamel's grin widens ecstatically at my lack of resistance. I feel nerves turning my insides jittery as I think over doing something so drastic. No matter the fear, this has to be done. Even if the guide can be trusted to show us the correct path, he is not reliable when it comes to anything else. If we let him do as he wishes, it's very possible that at some point during this night he will leave us to die. I believe that you are capable of carrying the guide to the other side. That seems like the least risky option we have for the group at large. Bamel lets out a small, triumphant laugh and tosses the vial over to me. I catch it and quickly tuck it away in my pocket. I'll return it to its rightful owner once we've made it to the shore. Bamel steps back up to the guide's side, who still shrinks slightly beneath him. The guide narrows his eyes as Bamel grows near. Fret not, I will take proper care to lift you. This isn't the first time I've carried an injured traveling partner. I'll have to hoist you over my shoulders since we've still got a ways to go. I ask that you don't make too much of a fuss about it. The guide stares at him plainly. I'm hardly in a position to resist. You've taken away my ability to do anything but be dependent on you and your decisions. Even though this path was only taken because I'm not someone you care for rather than true pragmatism, it is a better mindset to have on these bridges than how you've acted thus far. Bamel snorts out a sarcastic laugh. Okay, I might want to change my answer. But that's cheating, so I'm not. I mean, cheating death was also cheating. Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna keep going. Thank you for your approval, but I want a better relationship with the guide. We're still mean to each other. He bends down and grabs the guide, lifting him over his shoulders. Bamel is careful not to bump the guide's legs. He still winces in pain, clenching his staff tightly as he's jostled back and forth. However, the arrangement is quickly settled, and Bamel is ready to begin walking with the guide in tow. Lou again doesn't say anything, quietly surveying the situation. He seems far more nervous now than the option they laughed over is a reality. I must trust that his worries will not come to pass. Continue down this bridge. We cannot remain here any longer. Bamel gives him a nod and starts to walk across the soggy boards as the new head of the group. I don't want him to be the new head of the group. He makes rash decisions. We walk along the bridges together in the stillness. The guide's occasional instruction of what paths to take is the only conversation that reverbs in the night. Our steps echo throughout the bridges, and I'm more acutely aware of just how many paths there are spread across the lake than ever. Even the voices of the lake are quiet, but it's no consolation, for in their place in the otherworldly squishing sounds of the prowlers contorting their aquatic forms across the boards. It's impossible to tell exactly where they're coming from. The sound seems to echo in every direction at once. All I know is that it's too close for comfort. I do my best to ignore the feeling, but the sounds still fill me with a constant lingering dread. We cross a long path and come across a strange sight. It's a bridge which curves in and becomes more narrow in the middle than usual. Eyeing the dubious bridge warily, I grow nervous at the idea of getting that close to the edge. Bamel's pace slows before pointing to a stop directly in front of the foreign way. For once he looks at the guide for this matter. The guide appraises the bridge, looking intensely down the path ahead. Normally, it would be possible to cross the narrow bridge if one is careful with how they step. We can't continue as we are. Our combined weight is too much. Is there another path? This is our path. Bamel's eyes widen at the explanation before gritting his teeth and speaking with a tone coated with suspicion. See, I think if I gave him the medicine at this point, he would have, went over the bridge and left us behind or something like that. So you knew from the start we'd reach a point where putting you down was the only option. The guide's silence is confirmation enough for Bamel. He scoffs derisively, then purposefully strides forward, planting his feet on the mouth of the narrow bridge. Unfortunately, that plan isn't going to work. I may not look the part, but I'm quite light on my feet. If this is our path, then prepare to cross it with me. The guide still does not speak. He looks completely unfettered. The Bamel doesn't take kindly to the guide's dismissiveness. He lifts his boot for a second time, stretching it out ahead of his body and threatening to move even further down the narrow way. He's bluffing, isn't he? I've known Bamel for a few years now, and I wouldn't assume even his recklessness would go this far. Yet, I cannot help but hold concerns. One wrong step could mean the end for the both. Regardless of how serious his intentions are, has this gotten out of hand? For only a second I catch the guide looking my way. The moment I realize it, however, he's returned to staring down Bamel. Do it. To die on these boards is my fate. What difference is there should it be today or tomorrow? It is only those you are trying to protect who will suffer. Bamel snarls under his breath, but puts his foot down where it originally was. He then even takes a few steps back, his head lowered in defeat. It seems we have no choice. I reach into my pocket to take out the vial belonging to our guide. Bamel places the guide back onto the ground as I hand the medicine towards him. He takes it from me and downs the entire dose almost instantly. I thought you were only going to take half. The less medicine I drink, the longer it takes to have an effect. Our time is even more limited thanks to how much was wasted on your little game. I had to drink it all so we could move forward. It should be fine. Uneasy and regretful glances are shared throughout our party. None is showing more of those emotions than Bamel. We've been forced to accept that, for better or worse. On Sinlos the guide decides all. It is disheartening. At the very least, the guide gains his mobility back in short order, as he assured us. I shake off the heaviness of what happened and put my focus on the task ahead. I give a firm look to my traveling partners and hope they'll feel the same. With no further discussion, the guide smoothly glides across the bridge in the center until his effortless walk brings him to where the boards widen again. Now it is our turn, and with only a single lantern shared between us, we have to be mindful of how to cross without leaving anyone in the darkness. I will stay in the middle. One of you will lead while the other goes behind. I ponder over what positions to take. The person in front could potentially stall the others or bump into us, so it seems important to send someone capable of crossing without stopping. Yet it may also be better to send someone who could possibly be left behind first to ensure that doesn't happen. Oh. I look over to my two companions, who also seem pensive over this decision. None of us want to make the wrong choice. I hope dearly to myself that we're exaggerating how dangerous crossing this thin bridge will be. I can take the front. It won't be any trouble. In an effort to break the stalemate, Bamel offers to go in front. Lou nods gingerly, seeming relieved that somebody else made the decision. With the order decided, the three of us carefully start to make our way across. First, Bamel steps onto the narrow bridge. A few seconds later, I follow after him, and after a pause behind me, Lou also starts going across. As we inch our way across, something strange starts to happen. I notice the bridge start to bend down to the right. I suddenly realize that the weight of all of us is stressing the support beams. The others have noticed as well, as the sounds of alarm resound from both in front of me and behind. I speak in a hushed whisper, trying to remain calm. We need to focus on keeping ourselves centered. We can't let the bridge tilt. I think over our predicament. I can't leave Lou behind. There's nowhere for him to go with no other source of light nearby. Bamel could try going by himself while we keep still. We aren't close enough to the guide for Bamel to remain in light completely, however, with only him moving. Hopefully the bridge will remain stable enough for him to cross it quickly. With him safe on the other side, we will have an easier time keeping the bridge from bending again. I can't be sure if it's worth the risk, though. These concerns may be a knee-jerk overreaction to seeing a sign of danger. If all of us go slowly, it's possible we could still cross together. Yeah, I'm gonna let Bamel go. I hastily share my thoughts on the matter with the other two. Bamel listens to me intently. A look comes over his face, and it's clear that he's not fond of the idea of leaving us behind. I shake my head and urge him to go. Having one less person on this bridge will be beneficial for everyone, Bamel. Margaret? Oh, I guess that's supposed to say Bamel. Bamel keeps quiet, a silent agreement towards the plan. He sighs and nods. Bamel sucks in a breath and carefully starts to walk down this bridge. As we know, I think Margaret was supposed to be Lou, not Bamel. It mostly stays in one place. The bridge slightly creaks from side to side. Luckily, it is not an extreme enough tilt to imbalance anyone. Bamel successfully reached the edge of my light. For a moment he stares down at a path of darkness. He then moves quickly without hesitation. He makes it closer and closer to the other side when suddenly... Ugh! A twisted backwards arm glossy with blackened water bursts from the side and latches onto Bamel's leg. A scream pierces the air as Bamel tries frantically to separate himself from the Nyx. Bamel, you were a good character. Liked you, not that much, but liked you. It simply digs its claws deeper into his leg, which causes him to shriek even louder. I stare on in abject horror as the scene unfolds before us. Ah, bye, Bamel. The bridge shifts and begins to bend from the strain again. There is little Bamel can do to resist. He rolls off the bridge into the water. Bamel! I shout despairingly, but my voice can't help. Ugh. He fights to keep his arm out, refusing to go completely under. Soon even that is pulled down. Bamel never resurfaces. There's not so much a bubble coming up from the lake. The bridge slowly creaks back into place, sloshing as it settles into its original position, all as if nothing happened. An eerie stillness overtakes the area as I stare, mouth trembling at the place my companion was lost. I'm overwhelmed with feelings. My eyes fill to the brim with tears. Why? Why did this have to happen? Before I have any time to grieve, the guide's voice rings out on the wind from across the bridge. You cannot stay there. You must keep going. I count my breaths in an attempt to calm myself. As long as I stand here, Lou can't move. I'm going to start walking again. I will too. Lou speaks very softly. Now, with only 2 sets of feet instead of 3, it is not as difficult as a journey to make. The mere idea of one of us being missing pains me to my core. Aww, Bamel. So first it was Margaret, and then it was Bamel. Eventually we make it to the other side of the narrow bridge, and the remaining 3 of us stand together quietly as we process what happened. I place my free hand over my face to cover my eyes as I begin to weep. Not all of us made it. No matter how many times I state it in my head, I'm not able to make myself accept it. We were all here just a moment ago, and yet now, how could this have happened? Forget what you saw. As of right now, nothing matters except for the fact that we have yet to reach the shore. Morning will arrive soon. We must continue. I can understand the words. I need to keep myself together until I reach the shore, and yet it seems impossible to actually do. Everyone is being lost one by one. I can't take it. Lou gently places a hand on my back and whispers to me quietly, "It's okay." The guy taps the base of his staff into the boards, not allowing me to become lost in my sorrow. Lou shuffles towards the guide, but he doesn't make it very far before he runs out of light from my lantern to remain in. Lou comes back, taking my hand and cradling it in his own, then starts walking. I feel super bad. I mean, Bamel, he was kind of going off the deep end, though. He was becoming, like, angrier and more vengeful. And I really didn't appreciate that. I managed to make myself take a step forward. My stomach twists as we simply have to move past the death of another person. For the second time. It's so cruel. Bamel was a wonderful guard and a wonderful person. He was striving towards so much, but it was all lost in a moment. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. After hours of navigating the web of bridges, the faint silhouette of the shore creeps into view. It seems unbelievable that the end is in sight. Even though that wisp of hope does little to ease the ache inside me, I still feel hollow inside. Those of us remaining continue in the direction of the shore, and the darkness around us begins to break. Uh-oh. A seed of worry sprouts inside me. Will we make it? The guide ahead seems to have no sign of concern on his face. He's calmer than I have ever seen him. I hold on to the hope that we will be able to make it through. The sky above, I think this is like the end, so I think I'm going to continue for a little longer than 40 minutes. This is going to be the longest episode, wow. The sky above seems tinged with red as we hang down a long stretch of boards. We walk further and further into the mist before what comes into view halts my steps. A dead end. This is the end, isn't it? I gasp at the sight. It sunk. Why? Why did this bridge have to fall now? The shore is there. I see it in front of my eyes. Lou's mouth hangs open, completely dumbfounded over the sight. Is there any other path? I ask, urgently, making an effort to keep myself from sounding too panicked. The guide doesn't respond or even turn to face me. He just keeps staring ahead at the end of the pathway. Guide, our way has been taken from us. We need to find another bridge before the sun rises. Listen to me. Finally, the guide stirs from my harsh calls. He speaks in a distant sort of way as if he were in a trance. Oh yeah, Cloud Mine. This bridge didn't sink. It was never the path to the shore, and yet here we are. His mind! What? I took the wrong way. We can't reach the shore. I wonder how much of this was a mistake. Lou stands still with an icy expression. This cannot be happening. It can't. He took us the wrong way, and he did it intentionally? The medicine, it robbed him of logic, or perhaps it was his will that was lost. He would have taken the medicine anyway, so this sucks. If he had taken less... Oh, God, I should have let him have the medicine. If he had taken less, would this not have happened? Or was it over as soon as I left him to the Nixie while on the shore? My mind begins to race with a million other questions, but I snap myself out of it. There is only one pressing matter to attend to this moment in time. I forcefully grab the guide by his shoulder and make him turn towards us. You need to show us the correct bridge, or else we're going to die. He brushes my hand off of him, dropping his staff to the side in the process. I grab his wrist and try to pull him forward. He remains solidly planted on the bridge, with more strength than I anticipated given his hazy state. I tighten my grip, intending to make him move this time. However, he speaks before I can. I have done all that I can. Do what you will. My hands slip from the guide at those words. I look at him, utterly baffled. We did not understand him, not in any way. I feel backed into a corner as the sun rises higher. Someone touches my forearm. Lou is looking up at me with a severe expression on his face. We need to leave now. The guide, he isn't going to the shore this time. Is Lou actually suggesting we leave the guide behind to die? I mean, we have to! The bridge begins to violently quake below us. Lou pulls at my arm, urging me to follow him. I swallow hard. This is foolish. There isn't enough time for any of us to make it. He is aware of that. I quickly grab Lou's hand and we start to race across the boards. Not too much progress is made before the shaking morphs into an urgent shuddering and sinking. Despite the bridge starting to disappear below, we keep running until there is no more bridge left to cross. I try desperately to tread water, but my armor weighs me down, and this dense fluid inevitably. My strength is quickly sapped away. I don't sink so much as plummet down into the lake. The painful, fighting, burning in my lungs takes a few minutes to subside, then I slip into unfeeling nothingness. I'm more happy with that ending than the previous one I had. But I still don't like it. Jeez. I think I'm going to try and get a different ending on my own time. But I guess that is it, guys. I really enjoyed this game. I loved it. It was great. I wish we made it to the shore. I wish we, quote-unquote, beat the game. But you can't always win. And this game proves that, which I like. But that's really sad. I guess everyone died in the end. I wonder if there was an actual way to beat it. I wonder if you could actually get to the shore. But wow, I had one of the longer endings out of everybody that I've seen. Jeez. Kinda mad, kinda sad. Kinda roller coaster of emotions. Wow. If you guys like this video and want to see more of this content, you can subscribe. It's the red button below. You guys know what it is. If you want to get notified every time I post a video, you can press the bell button next to the subscribe button, and it will let you know. But yeah, guys, Wow, I can't believe this is the end of the series. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!